Hi there, how you going? I'd like to introduce to you TechSmith's Camtasia. What I'm going to be doing now is demonstrating the power of screencasting, in particular looking at devices and platforms which can be used to communicate with students outside the classroom. So firstly, I'll start with Edmodo. Edmodo is basically the Facebook for schools. I've also got Facebook open here. I will momentarily go into how Facebook can also be used as another means of communicating with students. So firstly, I'll log into my Edmodo account. It's totally free to create one as a teacher, and I highly recommend it. It's really easy. It's not blocked by filters at schools. You just click on I'm a teacher down the bottom on the registration, and away you go. It takes about 2 minutes literally. So when you've actually signed up, the first thing you can do is if you're greeted by a page like this, if I pull up my profile, it'll give you a brief example of the sorts of things you can do. So you get to put in your name. I could just leave out my first name if I wanted to and just have Mr. Baker, but I chose to. I generally not too fussed if the students use my first name. You can put in the grades that you teach. Currently only teach to 11th grade. Year 12 eludes me currently, but hopefully next year I'll get a Guernsey. Also you can put in your score here. So this is overall how many students I'm teaching in the classes currently. Okay. You can also connect to other teachers and share ideas and resources. These are the items I'm actually sharing in my library, and you get a score for sharing. And being an active participant in the community, you actually get awarded badges. For example, Class Builder, the first person that knew to use Edmodo, not I'm trying to brag or anything. Connected, so more than 10 teachers, publisher, sharing stuff in your library, etc. And you can also make your own badges. So for example, tonight I actually made a few badges. I've had a couple of birthdays recently, which they were quite surprised when we sang happy birthday to them, so I've thrown that one in there. We did a unit on the Dark Ages and Viking expansion, so I thought I'd make those and share them with my students. Okay, so if I go back home, I'll give you an example of a class. Probably the most active participants are my year 8s. They really enjoy it, and they've even been passing in assignments to me this way. So even if they miss something, I can, as you can see, throw in files for them to look at. There's a feudalism diagram, and when you click on it, it pops right up. So it's really clear for them to see, you know, the general pyramid of feudalism. So they've got the king, the lords, knights, peasants, and so on, and they can download that on their own computers. There's a file I composed for heraldry, so if I open it, it just opens the Word file, and as you can see, there you go. So you've got the basic colours, the lines, the ordinaries, and the charges, and this is just something I threw together using good old Google for the kids when they design their own shields. And there's another example here, so I can click on it again, it'll just open. It's really useful. So it's just the background and the rules of heraldry. So any kids that weren't there, if they need the file to save paper, rather than me printing 1,000 copies off and they constantly lose them, I just tell them they need to go to the Edmodo and it's all on there. So that's really useful for the paperless classroom. You can throw up quizzes, tests. I've also set an assignment, so we'll be making a medieval newspaper. There's about 5 groups worth doing it, so we've got the rubric here. So it's really good. And here's another person doing their homework. I asked for them to look up their family coat of arms. So there's a student, and she's thrown up her family's coat of arms. So it's really useful, and I literally get questions posted on here all hours of the night. So again, you can just, if I wanted to type a new message, for example, how's everyone going, so I just literally just type in the message, and then I can post it to them. down here, down the bottom, so I can attach files to that. I can find a useful link, link it to a thing in my library, which I'll show you in a minute. Or you can actually have scheduled messages, and as I'm just making a quick statement, I don't actually need to do that. Okay, you can publish alerts as well. This is just a quick thing to alert everybody when an assignment's due. You can set an assignment, load up the file when it's due. They can turn it in for Edmodo, loading up quizzes or running polls. So it really is fantastic in that regard. And as you can see, it's not, if I go to all the groups, I've got a few actual classes, but I'm also part of the Twitter chat group, HistEd chat. If you're on Twitter, get in on the hashtag, that's hashtag HistEd chat. Lots of archives, and it's just fantastic, the community that we have there. As you can see, there's another site here, the Google Plus community. And if I go onto the library for this site, which I'll go to momentarily, but generally this is what we show resources, share them together, and I can't, just the usefulness of this is beyond words. It's fantastic. As you can tell, I'm quite tongue-tied. So if I go into the library of the folders, here's an example of some stuff that's been thrown up by various people. Dr. Catherine Hart, for example, absolute legend. She's been fantastic in sharing her resources, and this is accessible to anyone that's part of this group. So get into it. If you want the group code, send me an email. I'll give it to you at the end of this brief video. So here we go. All these files are downloadable. So again, really useful, and there are hundreds if not thousands of groups that can be joined as an educator. It's not just all for creating your own classrooms. You can actually share resources with your fellow teachers, be it regionally, nationally or internationally. So as you can see, there's lots and lots of groups. These are just a few that I'm in. So if I go at the top here, if I click on my library, these are the files and things that I've uploaded into the library, which students can access. So there's a few PDFs, some diagrams, maps. As you can see, we've done a fair bit on Vikings recently. These are all just individual files, and you can actually throw them into folders. So I've got admin. This makes it much easier to organize everything for various topics. You can link it to your Google Drive as well if you use Google Drive, or anything that I've attached to a post. I can pull it straight up out of there. So again, I can't stress enough how fantastic Edmodo is, and there's so many features I'm still honestly learning. I just use it for the basic features at the minute, and it's enough. But you also have these things called communities, which are basically Edmodo based groups. Okay, so for example, social studies, you can see how many people are in it, 153,000 from across the planet, and people share ideas and give tips and resources, ask questions. So there's a really strong community, so check it out. You won't be disappointed. Like I said, it takes not even 2 minutes to make an account, and it is 100% free. Okay, so if I show you the other program I'm using, or web page, is good old Facebook. You might think, what are you, nuts? I am well aware of the policies of DECT using social media, so I've taken all the necessary precautions, such as locking down my security a great deal. Okay, so I start off here. This is my homepage. Okay, so this is my profile. It's totally private. Only the people that I'm friends with can see it. So I've got 350 odd friends. Okay, this is just for them and for me. It's mainly just here's one of my eldest son, Wolf. Some photos of the weekend. Okay, so this is just stuff for me. My students can't see this. I don't want them to see this. That's my youngest son, Talon, as well. Okay. this is for me and my friends. Okay, so you don't have to share any of this with Wolf again, with people that you don't want to. Okay, it's not necessary, because you'd be shocked at how much of a geek I am. As you can see, all my nerdy stuff, military hobbies and whatnot. Okay, so what do you do? Well, you have two options really, thanks to Facebook. At its most basic, you could say set up a group like this. This is slightly trickier because generally you have to have a friend in the group. So what you can do is invite a friend and then delete them just to create the group, and then start getting the address like you've got here and giving it to your students. Okay, so for this purpose, for example, I used this my Year 10 page, invited my wife just to create the group because you need at least one person in it. Then I removed her and then gave this link to my students. They in turn joined, and then it's totally locked down, maximum privacy. I don't have to friend them, they don't have to friend me. It's a way around all of the inappropriate use of social media. And as I've said to them, a disclaimer that anything that goes up on here is the equivalent of yelling it out in class. So it's a public forum. So there's a disclaimer on here. See, don't try and friend me, deck policies, blah blah blah. Okay, and so far I've got 17 out of my 24 in the class, because some of them legitimately do not use Facebook, so they use Edmodo instead. I just like to double up just so that kids have their preferred method. So I throw up some useful things. I've also put the link for Edmodo and the group codes. A video that I watched in class, I put the link in here for anyone that was away, if a couple of people were. Hill 60, if anyone wants to buy the DVD from the library, and just various forms of sharing. And photos and the layout of Facebook is probably more appealing than Edmodo. They're similar but different, and most kids are addicted to Facebook, so this is a really effective means of communicating with them. Another couple of videos and PDFs that you can actually load up now in Facebook groups. So that's the first option you have, is of creating a group. The second, arguably more effective means is actually creating a teacher's page. Okay, by doing this, you can control everything. They don't have to actually see your profile whatsoever. So this is a legitimate page that people can like, as if you're liking a business page. And if you're so inclined, you can pay some money to Facebook and promote it. But no thanks. Okay, so here's being a Roman history nut. That's my little icon. I just found this quote from Edudemic. It's an excellent site on educational technology, and it really fits into my teaching philosophy. So I threw that up on there just because I really like it. Okay, you set it up. It's good to go, and then you go live, and you literally just tell people, here's the link, Mr. Baker NHS. So I've got 123 kids that like my page, and it's not all students, it's also fellow colleagues. So for example, I threw this excellent YouTube video up, a time lapse of a history of Europe. Anyone interested in it, check it out. So you can play it from within Facebook, and it's fantastic, this video. I'll mute that because music's kind of annoying. But if anyone's not seen this video, it basically shows you the changing borders in Europe over 1,000 years. So the countries change, and I found it really useful for teaching history, especially to the year 8s and the year 11s, different spectrums of the schooling scale, but it's really fantastic. So there you have it. Two very different means, and depending on how much you update this, is basically how organized it's going to be. I must admit I've fallen a little bit behind on this one, just because I've been so busy this term, but it is a good example of what you can do without having to share this, okay? Because this is for me, okay? Yeah, so if you'd like any information on how I did that, please feel free to contact me. My email, just so you can see it, is simon.baker973 at schools.sa.edu.au. So there you go. If you'd like to send me an email, please feel free. I check it on a regular basis and would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening, and hope you didn't mind a bit of the battle from the Gladiator soundtrack in the background. Again, it shows you how much of a geek I am. Ignore the time on the clock as well. I normally work this late. Catch you later. Cheers.